Hi, welcome back to Game Geeks. I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Today's episode, we are reviewing Shaintar, the fantasy role-playing setting for the Savage Worlds game. Now, Shaintar, in its incarnation that I have, is contained in this lovely 3-ring binder, not included with purchase. Shaintar is a very interesting take on a fantasy world. To be very honest with you, it's kind of what you come to expect from a fantasy world. There are elves, there are dwarves, there are little people, for this game in the form of goblins. There are a couple variety of elves running around, humans, some dragon people, some lion people, all the, like I said, stuff you've kind of come to expect from fantasy, but what it makes a little bit different is how it's presented. Now, let me lead off with this. This is not produced by the people who make the Savage Worlds game. This is another company's product. Now, that company sort of licensed Savage World to make this, and that's one of the things that Pinnacle Entertainment Group, the people who make Savage Worlds, have been doing pretty well lately, is that they have been licensing out Savage Worlds for other people to use. In fact, they've gotten a very nice, open licensing process for doing that. I think we'll see a lot more good Savage World stuff in the future from that license. But what makes this game different from most other Pinnacle Entertainment Savage Worlds settings, if I can string all those words together there, is this. Pinnacle Entertainment kind of makes a career out of making their settings different. It's not what you would expect for a given Western setting. For example, they have Deadlands, which is the Weird West, West with a supernatural apocalypse going on. They have Necessary Evil, which is a supers game from the point of view of the supervillains that are left over after an invasion. Then you've got other settings. Solomon Kane is pretty straightforward, but that's based on a licensed property, as is Pirates of the Spanish Main. Shaintar is a very well done fantasy game. And to be honest, it was a little refreshing to see something, I don't want to say normal, because that's really not the best word there, but how about more what you'd expect from a given genre? That way you can really get a feel for whether or not you like the engine for that particular genre. Shaintar fills the fantasy genre very nicely in that way. What you have is a world with some mystery and some meta plot going on. Now, normally when I hear meta plot in a fantasy game, I get a little, and especially when you read through this, and they tell you right up front, they're not going to give you the keys to the kingdom right away. They're not going to give you all the secrets of the meta plot right up front. Now, normally that gives me the screaming willies and turns me off to a game, but they pulled it off well here because the meta plot is such that you could completely ignore it if you wanted to. Yes, future supplements will be based on it and continue the meta plot in that way, but you don't really have to pay that much attention to it. What it does is it sets up very nicely for several different kinds of magic. Druidism versus standard clerical magic, they're completely different now, still based on the powers ability of Savage Worlds, but it gives it a completely different feel, a completely different flavor to the system. You've got a monotheistic church, which is kind of on the rise and threatening some of the druidism. You've got a pre-established group organization for your players to be a part of, Grayson's Rangers, that allows it's sort of your mission central where you can go and you should go do this now, which is always nice for the beginning of a game because, let's face it, how many of us are tired of meeting in a tavern or meeting at the job clearinghouse so you have stuff to do? I kind of am. I like different openings for my games. So Shaintar, in addition to all of these really good selling points, flavorful magic that's based on the same unified system, good setting background, interesting ideas, very good execution of the Savage Worlds engine for a fantasy game. In addition, it has the sort of a plot building device. Like if you're stuck and you don't know what to do, you get out a deck of cards and you can kind of build a plot based on an array. And they give you several different options and several different ideas for how to build that array for the different types of adventures you want. Short one-nighters, multi-episode multi-night episodes, broader campaigns, how you can tie these in to longer ideas, which is really nice because sometimes we all get a little stuck on what to do that night. Additionally, it has a very nice bestiary of the different sorts of critters you can run into. One of the biggest selling points and advantages to Savage Worlds, in my opinion, is the fact that it's very fast, furious, forget it, you know what I'm about to say there. But you can really condense your character sheet onto a 3x5 index card if you want to, and not have it written so small, when I was in college, well, you can use one 3x5 index card for all of your formulas. And people end up writing on there so small you need an atomic force microscope to read the damn thing. So you can have all of those. It's very straightforward, very condensed setups for the critters, for your characters. Makes it very easy for almost a pick up and run. Additionally, they have a plot point type campaign in the back, which is a moderately scripted campaign that takes your players through several adventures, through a couple of ranks, and then ultimately starts to open up some of the ideas of the meta plot contained therein. If you like Savage Worlds, if you want an incredibly well done, well realized, and very interesting fantasy world that has a lot going for it, that's recognizable as fantasy, but not the exact Xerox copy that you expect that someone held down the Lord of the Rings cycle on a Xerox machine, hit 67 copies, staple, and go, then Shaintar is probably a pretty good bet for you, and is honestly one of the better fantasy games that I have seen in recent years for a system that is very quickly becoming one of my top 3 favorite games. The other two being BRP and Unisystem. I can't rank them. How do you choose between your children? For Game Geeks, I'm your host, Kurt Wiegel. Good day and good gaming.